السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت السميع العليم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. Last week now we have completed Ghazwat Tabuk and all the events that happened on the way back from Tabuk. And after this, towards the end of 9th Hijri, was the time for Hajj. Dhul Qa'dah and Al-Hijjah. And one event that happened during that, I'll just pass by quickly, just that in the 9th year of Hijrah, Kulthum, the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, died. It was an event, just sad event for the Prophet ﷺ. Now, for Hajj of the 9th Hijri, the Prophet ﷺ asked Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to lead the Hajj. Now, you might have noticed during the seerah sometimes I pass on the Sahaba as Umar, Abu Bakr. It's just funny, but they're always Sayyidina Umar and Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhum. For the sake of just the flow, sometimes I pass by it. May Allah forgive me for this, but it's not intentional. It's just so I can go on the flow. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr was asked to lead the Hajj, so he got ready, took Sahaba whoever wanted to go to Hajj, and moved on. And as usual, they do Ihram from Dhul Hulayfa or Abiyar Ali, the place of Ahl Medina, or everybody who comes from the north, and went forward. While they're on their way, Allah revealed Quran to the Prophet ﷺ, which was relevant to this event. And that was verses of Quran and some ahkam, which is fiqh, for the Hajj. The Prophet ﷺ, when that was revealed to him, he said, Wallahi, no one will take that message to Abu Bakr except one of my own family. The importance of what was revealed. So he asked Sayyidina Ali, "O Ali, I'm going to teach you." So he told him, he said, you follow Abu Bakr, you tell him this is what to do in Hajj. He has to pass the message to everyone during Hajj. What was revealed were the first verses of Surah At-Tawbah, I would call Surah Bara'ah. This is the only surah in the Quran that does not have Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And the ulama say it's possibly because it was revealed so quickly, so important that it was in a rush, that Allah did not add Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Others say this surah was to inform us about the kuffar and the munafiqeen. So there is no need for Rahman and no need for Rahim for them. Okay, so Rahmah is not required here, and that's why there is no Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And it starts by saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan ar-Rajim, Bara'atum min Allahi wa rasulihi ila alladhina ahadtum min al-mushrikeen. Now there is declaration of immunity from Allah and His Prophet for those pagans who you have contracted on a mutual terms. Because the Prophet ﷺ, when he conquered Mecca, he gave some people some time, like we know of Safwan ibn Umayyah, he gave him 4 months. He said after 4 months, if he does not become Muslim, he leaves Mecca. Others have other longer terms. Some people paid the jizya, so there is a long-term deal with them. So there is a deal there. So Allah has said, now the term is to be fulfilled, whatever term you told them. فَسِيحُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ أَرْبَعَةَ أَشْهُرٍ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّكُمْ غَيْرُ مُعْجِزِي اللَّهِ وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ مُخْزِي الْكَافِرِينَ. Now from that time when Allah revealed this, you have 4 months. The ones who have not had any deal with the Prophet of a term specific, been left to time, they might become Muslim, they might not. Now Allah has put for them 4-month terms, that they have to become Muslim, يَسِيحُ فِي الْأَرْضِ, go wherever you want. These are what say arba'atu ashhur, the 4 months. Go through the land, and you know that you cannot frustrate Allah at all in your falsehood. But Allah will cover this and will reject whoever rejects him, Allah will just shame him. وأذان من الله ورسوله إلى الناس يوم الحج الأكبر أن الله بريء من المشركين ورسوله وإن تبتم فهو خير لكم وإن توليتم فاعلموا أنكم غير معجزي الله وبشر الذين كفروا بعذاب أليم. And it's an announcement from Allah and His Messenger. That's the message that Prophet has to deliver now to Abu Bakr, to pass on to everybody else in the Hajj. That there's an announcement from Allah and His Messenger to the people on the day of the great pilgrimage, that Allah and His Messenger has dissolved any obligations of any treaties with the pagans, al-mushrikeen. Not the kuffar, the mushrikeen. Okay, there's difference in wording here. And then, if it were best for you that do not turn away. If you turn away, you will lose. And know that you cannot frustrate Allah and proclaim any grievous penalty if you reject the faith. You will be penalized with Jahannam wal-'iyadhu billah. إلا الذين عاهدتم من المشركين ثم لم ينقصوكم شيئا ولم يظاهروا عليكم أحدا فأتموا إليهم عهدهم إلى مدتهم إن الله يحب المتقين. And again in this one it says, but the treaty that you have already struck with others that might be longer than those 4 months, you complete that term with them. This is Islam respecting any terms that you do with others. Pagans, non-Muslims, no matter what religion. If you have a treaty deal, you fulfill that treaty. You don't break it. And you have الذين عاهدتم المشركين ثم لم ينقصوكم شيئا, especially those ones that you have a treaty and they have not broken any of their promises. You fulfill their treaty until the time and the term you have with them. إن الله يحب المتقين. Allah likes the ones with piety. The ones who, that's piety is to fulfill your duty and your whatever you have promised. Now this is what the ayah that a lot of people take it out of conception and use it against the Muslims. And unfortunately some of the Muslims themselves misunderstand it. And that is very important for us to understand, which is verse 5. فإذا انسلخ الأشهر الحرم فاقتلوا المشركين حيث وجدتموهم وخذوهم واحصروهم واقعدوا لهم كل مرصد فإن تابوا وأقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة فخلوا سبيلهم إن الله غفور رحيم. Once these months haram, and it's not about the 4 months that we know as Muharram, Al-Hijjah, Muharram and Rajab. It's the 4 months of that treaty that Allah has given them. These are the 4 months now that is haram for the Muslims to harm the mushriks. It's given them the term. Feel free, live free, but after 4 months you become Muslim or you leave. Once these 4 months has passed or elapsed, you kill the mushriks, the pagans, wherever you find them. This is the term that the peninsula of Arabia, there will be no pagan worshipping in there. No one who does not worship Allah will remain there after the 4 months, except the ones who have a specific treaty that is longer. And this is what I was saying, non-Muslims take it against Muslims, that they say, oh, kill them, kill everyone. No, we say for this treaty, 4 months, once it passes, kill the pagans wherever you find them and take them and make the roads tighter on them, so don't give them way, give them a hard time. So if they make tawbah and pray, aqamu as-salah, and they pay the zakah, means if they become Muslims, فَخَلُّوا سَبِيلَهُمْ, leave them alone. إِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Allah is all forgiving and merciful. وإن أحد من المشركين استجارك فأجره حتى يسمع كلام الله ثم أبلغه مأمنه ذلك بأنهم قوم لا يعلمون. And if any of the pagans come to you seeking protection, now these 4 months are gone, it's time for them, possibly someone is following them to kill them, and they come to you seeking protection. Allah has already declared, kill them. But no, Allah says, if they come to you seeking protection, protect them. And not only this, and take them to a place of safety. Okay? You have to protect them. The protection is so they can hear the word of Allah. Allah might turn and change their hearts. They might become Muslim just because they wanted to hear it. They didn't have time, they were busy, they were oppressed, they couldn't get to it. So protect them, let them hear the word of Allah, and then take them to a place of security, i.e. take them out of Arabia. But you do not kill them if they ask you to protect them. So Allah kept that the Muslims, is not Islam not about kill, slaughter, no. If someone comes help, you help them. This is بأنهم قوم لا يعلمون. This is because there are people who don't know. So Allah wants them to learn. كيف يكون للمشركين عهد عند الله وعند رسوله إلا الذين عاهدتم عند المسجد الحرام فما استقاموا لكم فاستقيموا لهم إن الله يحب المتقين. How is it that there will be a league for the pagans and a treaty with Allah, except for those who you have made a treaty with at the Masjid al-Haram, which is at Fath Makkah, if you give them a longer period. As long as they stand to the truth and they follow the treaty as we decided, you carry on with them and be truthful with them. Allah does love the righteous. There are a few other verses that follow, which is another 3-4 verses that's all in relation to this. So verses 1 to 11 were what was revealed. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr will have to pass it on to all Muslims and non-Muslims, because non-Muslims used to do Hajj as well, same as Muslims, but except for the talbiyah, they used to make talbiyah shirk to add to it. So now the Prophet ﷺ sent Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu to Sayyidina Abu Bakr to tell him new rules for Hajj, which is preparation for the following year's Hajj. When the Prophet ﷺ goes there, there will be no non-Muslim doing the Hajj. So the Prophet ﷺ will lead Hajj in the 10th year only with Muslims. SubhanAllah, all preparation. So Sayyidina Ali rushed and caught with Abu Bakr on the way, and Abu Bakr saw him coming. Of course, he's the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, "Oh Ali, are you coming as a leader or as a follower?" Because any time the Prophet sends someone extra, they always double check. Are you leading, taking over, or are you just following and I should carry on? Sayyidina Ali said, "No, I am a follower, but I have a message for you from the Prophet ﷺ. You need to pass on to the Muslims and in Hajj for the non-Muslims." And he passed the message to him. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, "Ya Ali, once we are there in Hajj, I will tell you to tell people." So of course, on their way, he told all the Muslims that are in the group the new regulations, the verses, and the ahkam that Prophet ﷺ told him. Then in Arafah, in the khutbah of Hajj, Sayyidina Abu Bakr gave the khutbah, and when he finished, he said, "Get up, Ali, tell them." So Sayyidina Ali told them, read these verses, and then he told them other things on top of that. And he said that whoever has a treaty, they are to remain until the term and the time that we agreed. After that, there is no extension of a treaty with non-Muslims. Ones without a treaty, they are given 4 months. The ones who are coming from outside Al-Jazeera, they are given time to come and hear about Islam and leave. It's like having a visa. You have a visa, which is the term of protection. You come in, you hear about Islam, and you leave. And then Sayyidina Ali said, "No one will enter Jannah." Of course, these are the words of the Prophet ﷺ as he asked him to pass them. "No one will enter Jannah except a believing soul, nafsun mu'mina. And no one is to do tawaf around the Kaaba naked." If you remember at the beginning, possibly the most boring part of the initial stage of Sirah, we're talking about the non-Muslim and how they changed the regulations. Suddenly they got the idols in, and slowly they asked people of coming from outside, "You're not supposed to do tawaf unless you buy clothes from Mecca." And people came poor, couldn't buy them, so they started taking off their clothes because they couldn't make tawaf without, and started doing tawaf naked. So the Prophet ﷺ said, after this year, no one to do tawaf around the Kaaba naked. And whoever has a treaty with the Prophet ﷺ, his treaty will continue to the agreed date. No mushrik is to do Hajj after this year. And as I said, when the Prophet ﷺ is to come the following year, only Muslims. And whoever has no treaty, he is given 4 months. After this, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh, he kept passing the message, and he heard that people didn't get the message, so he went to tell them, and he kept walking around Mecca and all over the area as long as they were in there for the Hajj term, repeating the message, repeating it until he said, I lost my voice. He had really harsh, sore throat and lost his voice from just the amount of time he repeated it, radiallahu anh. Now, within 9th of Al-Hijri, 9th Hijri, we did say that this was the year of delegation. Now, there are so many delegations that came to the Prophet ﷺ. But the ones that I'm going to go through might be boring to some of us. May Allah help us that we don't get bored, but I'm going to say them because it's relevant to Quran, revelation. And that was the whole purpose of the seerah, giving it, is to understand the revelation and the reasons for some of these ayahs. One of the delegations that came were Banu Tamim. And Banu Tamim were a big tribe, a very large one. The Prophet ﷺ was so pleased with bigger tribes. Whenever a bigger tribe came, it's an extra power to Islam. They arrived to Medina, and it was Dhuhr time. People were in their houses. After Salat Dhuhr, there it's siesta, they rest. They went to the house of Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ and started shouting, "Oh Muhammad, come out to us. Come out, Muhammad, we want to talk to you." Prophet ﷺ came out in his polite attitude, ﷺ. He came out. What is it? He said, we want to praise each other and see who had a better pride. That was the Arabs. Is our tribe is better in pride, or is your Muslims higher in pride? Prophet ﷺ, people, he knew that the Arabs, most of them has no manners in that, especially the Bedouins, so he was very patient with them and taught them the manners. Islam came to teach them these manners. So he took them and went to the masjid. And as they entered the masjid, they said, now we want just to do duels in honor. One of our men and one of yours. And the way they used to do it is, they had someone who would just narrate a story. We call it khataba. And another one who would do poetry. So they got one of their men and asked him to deliver one of these khutbah. So it was Atad ibn al-Harith. He just gave a big khutbah about how great their tribe is, how good they are, how, all their praise, their honor. And Prophet ﷺ said, Thabit ibn Qais, get up, Thabit. Didn't tell him what to say, just said, get up. He knew what the message has to give a khutbah in that same kind of rhythm. And Thabit gave a khutbah about the pride of Islam, presence of the Prophet, and what he made out of the Arabs from Islam. They looked and said, Wallahi, your man is better than ours. He came with lots of stuff that ours couldn't. They said, okay, now we'll try with the poetry. Their poet was Az-Zabruqan. He came up and gave a poem, again praising their powers, their honor, their grandfathers and everything. And Prophet ﷺ, once he finished, he said, Qum ya Hassan. Hassan ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu. He got up, and Hassan ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu, he came out with a poem that has the same rhythm as the other one. It's complete similar, because there are, in Arabic, if we know the poetry, there was 7 rhythms, Sab'at Abhur. He came on one of the same rhythm as that one and the same ending of that one. praising Islam, the Prophet ﷺ, what the duty that Allah has given them, the duties of Allah. And they were kind of shocked. They said, your poet is better than ours. So that was what they wanted. Once they saw that, okay, they came, they gave the Shahada, and they returned. The Prophet, everybody that used to come to Islam, he used to give them a little present as, welcome into Islam, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And in this, Allah revealed in Surah Al-Hujurat. That's why I said it's the importance of knowing our seerah. In Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49, verses 1 to 5. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله واتقوا الله إن الله سميع عليم. O you who believe, he's talking to the believers, do not come forward before Allah and His Prophet. Don't come and cross in front of Him. Just, you have to wait, be patient. Fear Allah. Allah is the one who hears and knows all things. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي ولا تجهروا له بالقول كجهر بعضكم لبعض أن تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشعرون. O you who believe, do not raise your voices above the voice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this should still be our attitude now. The Prophet is still with us in his seerah and his sunnah. Whenever we're sitting and someone says, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, everybody should suddenly shut up. No voice should be raised above the voice of the Prophet. And don't, ولا تجهروا, and don't speak loud to him as you speak to each other. So when Sahaba, some of them, the Arabians used to come, Ya Muhammad, and they grab him. Allah is saying, oh, you believe, don't speak loud to him. Be respectful. Because we all speak to each other. Come here, come, normal. But when it's Prophet, respect. Why Allah wants us not to do that? So our deeds do not become vain. And تحبط أعمالكم. All our deeds will be eliminated if we do that. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And you do not know it, or do you not feel it. وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. You've done something, you don't know you've done it wrong, but despite that, it's gone. With Muslims and whole humanity, we do many things that we don't notice, but it can be a major crime that Allah can eliminate and wipe out all our sins. إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم. Those who lower their voices in the presence of the Messenger of Allah, those are the ones that Allah has tested their hearts, i.e. given them the good part in their hearts. And Allah will give them forgiveness and a great reward. إن الذين ينادونك من وراء الحجرات أكثرهم لا يعقلون. Those who are calling you from beyond the rooms, from outside, those are the Bani Tamim. Most of them do not have wisdom or understanding. ولو أنهم صبروا حتى تخرج إليهم لكان خيرا لهم والله غفور رحيم. And if only they had a little bit more patience, that you can come out to them without them having to call, it would have been better for them. And Allah is most forgiving and merciful, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what I'm saying, some of the delegations are important because it links to our Quran that Allah has revealed. After this, during that period, as I said, there is no specific time when they came, but we know it's throughout the 9th Hijri, which was before the Hajj of Sayyidina Abu Bakr. So another delegation came from Banu Amir. Now this is a tribe, if we recall back in Sirah, when the leader of Bani Amir came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him to send some of his Sahaba to teach his tribe Islam so they might become Muslim. It's a big tribe. And the Prophet ﷺ said, between Medina and your tribe, there are many tribes that are enemies of Islam. He said, they are under my protection. And as they went, his nephew, Amr ibn Tufayl, was the one who killed them. I don't know if you remember that. Hadithat Bi'r Ma'una, And then the leader came to hit his nephew, and then he died out of just depression because his word was turned down by his family. So Amr ibn Tufayl came with a delegation to Medina to become Muslim with his tribe. What has happened is that him and Al-Bara ibn Malik, one of his men there, they saw the power of Islam and the might coming, and his people all talking about Islam, so he felt like left behind now. So he said, okay, let's go. On the way, he got Al-Bara ibn Malik and said, Al-Bara ibn Malik was his father, who was his uncle who died because he was the one who's given the protection for Muslim, Al-Bara ibn Malik, and Amr ibn Tufayl killed them. But Al-Arbad ibn Qais was one of the men who was powerful, so he was with him, and he said, Ya Arbad, I will go with you, we'll meet Muhammad. I don't want to become Muslim. And Arbad said, I don't want to be Muslim as well either. He said, fine, I'll distract him for you. And while he's distracted, I want you to kill him. So they were plotting an assassination of the Prophet ﷺ. So they went in, and his people wanted to go become Muslim, but of course the leader usually speaks on behalf of everybody. So Amr ibn Tufayl went and started talking to Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ. And after they welcome and talks and whatever, he said, "Oh Muhammad, I want to talk to you in privacy." Prophet ﷺ said, "No, wallah, I will not talk to you in privacy until you witness that there is no God but Allah and I am His messenger." He said, "Oh Muhammad, talk to me in privacy." And you can tell how arrogant these men can be. The Prophet ﷺ said, "La wallah, I will not talk to you until you witness that there is no God but Allah and I am His messenger." And as he was kind of talking to the Prophet ﷺ, Al-Arbad ibn Qais was behind the Prophet, so the Prophet was completely turned his back. He could have been killed. Nothing happened, so Amr ibn Tufayl looked and said, "I will not become Muslim." And he turned and walked away. His people followed him. "What have you done?" He said, "I will not be Muslim. Let's go back." On their way back, he sat with Al-Arbad ibn Qais. He said, "Wallahi, if there is any man I fear in whole Arabia, it's you. Why did you not kill him when his back was to you?" He said, "Wallahi, every time I wanted to kill him, you came between us." Imagine that there was nothing, but Allah has made, as we say, a vision. Every time he intended to kill, Allah put that shade of that person in front of him, as if he saw him between him and Prophet, so he couldn't kill him. He said, "Did you want me to kill you?" So that was happened, but we know that this is all protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this has happened since Allah asked the Prophet in Surah Al-Ma'idah, which is chapter 5, verse 67. Before that, the Prophet ﷺ had protection, a guard that walked with him, until Allah revealed the verse 67 said, "Ya ayyuha ar-rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa in lam taf'al fama ballaghta risalatahu, wallahu ya'asimuka min an-nas, inna Allah la yahdi al-qawm al-kafirin." O Prophet, proclaim and pass the message that Allah has given you. And if you do not do that, you would not have fulfilled your duty and your mission. And Allah will defend you from men. Allah ya'asimuka min nas. Allah will defend you from men. Inna Allah la yahdi al-qawm al-kafirin. Allah does not guide the one who reject the faith. And since from that time, that's a long time, of course, before, the Prophet ﷺ used to go without any protection. And through the seerah you have heard, possibly heard a few times when people wanted to assassinate the Prophet ﷺ and found him on his own and said, "Who will protect you from me?" They say, "Allah." And suddenly Allah would send Sayyidina Jibreel to defend him. Few episodes that happened, and that's it. This is one of them, that Allah protected the Prophet ﷺ. On their way back, Amr ibn Tufayl, they passed on to a tribe called Banu Salul. Banu Salul was a very low life quality of tribe that used to be robbers, causing all mischief and their women, they had lots of prostitutes within their tribes. It was very low life quality, but they were friends with Banu Amir. So they went passing by, said, oh, let's spend the night there. Amr ibn Tufayl slept in a woman's house, woke up next morning with a swollen neck. Some say it's possibly a cancer, and he died within hours from that. And he said a saying that became a famous saying across the Arab Arabia that time, that death with a swelling in the neck like a baby camel and in a house of a woman from Bani Salul, what type of lowest death ever can happen to someone with his pride. The camels, the baby camels, they have a disease that gives them a little swelling in their neck and they die. There's some disease that's known to, possibly now as well, it's still known to baby camels. But they die from, they call it ghudda, it's like a big goiter. But it is some sort of a cancer, Allahu A'lam. So he said, a death like an animal and in a house of a prostitute. That was he was saying. So he refused to die there. They got him on his horse and they tied him up and he kept running on his horse until he died and he dropped off his horse dead. Out of pride, he didn't want to die just like that. But subhanAllah, this is what Allah has done to such a traitor. Then they returned back to the tribe and everybody gathered around Al-Arwad ibn Qais. They said, what have you done? What happened? He said, we didn't become Muslim and our leader died such and such, and he was a high person in them. They said, and what do you think? He said, Muhammad called me or us to worship a God. And if his God was here with us, I would have killed him with one arrow. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. This is his arrogance. And he got up on his camel and rode up onto a hill. As he got into the hill, subhanAllah, Allah sends a lightning that hits him directly and burns him and his camel. Just seconds after what he said. All Bani Amir saw that in the front of their eyes and they became Muslims. They sent delegation to the Prophet ﷺ, we are Muslims. And with this, Allah has revealed in Surah Al-Ra'd, chapter 13, verses 12 and 13, هو الذي يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينشئ السحاب الثقال. He shows you the lightning, both of fear and hope. And who doesn't fear when you say the lightning and the thunder? Say, subhanAllah. But how much do we have a hope that Allah is going to send rain after that? So he shows us the lightning out of fear and the hope. And both, he raises as well the clouds, the heavy ones, and fertilized with rain. وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ مِنْ خِيفَتِهِ وَيُرْسِلُ الصَّوَاعِقَ فَيُصِيبُ بِهَا مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَهُمْ يُجَادِلُونَ فِي اللَّهِ وَهُوَ شَدِيدُ الْمِحَالِ. And he sends the thunder that praises him. The thunder praises Allah. And the malaika, the angels, are praising him out of fear from Allah. They fear him. Of course, not fear just because they fear, but out of respect for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah sends, now he sends the lightning and hits whoever he wishes from men. He hit that man with the lightning, as-sa'iqa, the lightning that touches ground, we call it as-sa'iqa. And they dispute about Allah and his strength and his might, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that was another event linked, as we said, to the Quran. Then came another tribe called Banu Qais, and Banu Qais, they all rushed quickly into the Medina to see the Prophet and do the Shahada, except one of them, called Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais. A very known, famous name to the Arabs who know the Arabic literature, Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais. And he had a special talent. The Prophet ﷺ, when he met him, he saw him, because he didn't rush, he just tidied up, got his stuff, the camels, made sure that everything for his tribe is ready, and then followed them slowly. When the Prophet ﷺ looked at him, he said, "Oh Ahnaf, you have two parts of manners you have in you. that Allah and His messengers love: patience and tolerance. And he said, O Messenger of Allah, are these manners something that I've gained over the years in my life, or is it something that Allah made me with, created me with? He said, no, these are things that Allah has created you with. They are part of you. He said, Alhamdulillah, that Allah has made me and created me with two manners that Allah and His Messenger love. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallah. So these are manners that even people who are not born with, we can learn them. We can try and be patient. I know patience is not easy, but Allah asked us to be patient. It's something we can learn. Tolerance, we can tolerate others, especially when they are ignorant. You don't see someone who's an insane come and just shout at you and you just shout back. You say, subhanallah, may Allah not affect us by this insanity. Tolerance. So this is one thing we have to learn as Muslims. Now, after this came the delegation of Banu Hanifa from Al-Yamama, and this was a big tribe of 100,000 population. So imagine when this big tribe would come to the Prophet ﷺ. They all again rushed in and went to meet the Prophet, except one man, he stayed behind. He didn't enter. He said, oh, I'll look after your stuff, everything. And that was Musaylama. They went to the Prophet ﷺ, made the Shahada. He gave them their prizes before they returned. And then they said, oh, Messenger of Allah, there is a man who's still waiting outside. He's looking after our animals, cattle, and wealth outside. That's why he didn't come to us. He said, since he's looking after your stuff, he's not your worst. He's not the worst one amongst you. So you can take an extra present for him. They went out and told him, we mentioned you to the Prophet ﷺ that you were looking after our stuff, and he said, if he is looking after your wealth and your animals, he is not the worst amongst you. He just looked at it. Did you see? Muhammad praised me. Just Muhammad ﷺ just stating a fact, but no, he took it as personal. He praised me. And the next day, he went in with others to meet the Prophet ﷺ. And then, as he was sitting, he had his back to the house of the Prophet, talking to his friends. He said, Wallahi, I will not become Muslim unless Muhammad makes me the leader after him. The Prophet ﷺ was coming out of his house and he heard him. So he picked up a little stick. They call it al-urjun. Al-urjun is just the stick of the date palm tree that bends, dry one. He picked it up and said, Wallahi, if you ask me this little urjun, I will not give it to you, let alone the leadership. So he picked it. And Prophet ﷺ said, Wallahi, he just said it suddenly out of there, out of the blue. Wallahi, I can't not see that except that you are the one that I was shown in my dreams. And if you are that one, Allah will destroy you. So he said, okay, I'm not becoming Muslim. And he turned back and went back to Yamama. After he left, the Sahaba said, O Prophet, Ya Messenger of Allah, what is the dream you saw that you're talking about this man? He said, I was shown in a dream that the whole wealth of the earth was collected to me. And in my hands were two kind of bagels or bracelets of gold, which I didn't like. So I blew them off, and they landed in Arabia. They said, and what have you said this dream is? He said, I said that this dream, there are two liars that will appear in Arabia claiming to be prophets. And in the days of the Prophet ﷺ, two of them appeared, Musaylima and Al-Aswad al-Unsi in Yemen. The two claimed to be prophets, and the Prophet was still present ﷺ. Musaylima, when he returned to his Yamama, he wrote a letter to Muhammad ﷺ. He said, from Musaylima, Rasulullah, to Muhammad, Rasulullah. just to let you know, Allah has given me the earth as partnership with you, half for you and half for me. But you Quraysh are people who are unfair. And the Prophet ﷺ returned the letter saying, from Muhammad Rasulullah to Musaylima al-Kadhab, Musaylima the liar. And from there, then on, his name became, as we all know it now, Musaylima al-Kadhab, the liar. Amma ba'd, after this, earth is to Allah, not for me or you. Earth is to Allah. He gives it to whoever He wishes from His slaves, and good tidings are for the ones who have piety. That was the message as a reply. And we know that Musaylima carried on with his request until after the days of Prophet ﷺ in the fights, Hurub al-Ridda, when he was killed. But what made him even stronger is another man. And its story is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, when he said, I was sitting with two other Sahaba. One was from the Ansar, and the other one was, the other name, sorry, just don't want to make a mistake with this, An-Nahar ibn Anfuwa. We're sitting, me, Abu Hurairah, An-Nahar ibn Anfuwa, and another Ansari. And the Prophet ﷺ was passing by us. He said, one of you is in Jahannam. His tooth is bigger than the Mount of Uhud. Imagine if that's the tooth, what's the size of that human? For the sake of the punishment, because the bigger the surface of the skin, the bigger the punishment of the burn. So if the tooth is the size of Uhud, what is the size of that human to be punished in that hellfire? So Abu Hurairah said that I was so scared that I might be one of them, because all three of them are Sahaba, and none of them was known to be hypocrite. They were known good people. After a while, the Ansari died. So it was Abu Hurairah, me, and An-Nahar. And An-Nahar was someone who was dedicated, attending with the Prophet, listening, learning, memorizing the Quran, to the level that the Prophet ﷺ decided one day to send him, because he is from Yamama, Bani Hanifa, to send him back to his tribe to teach them Islam. Since they came intending, let's send them one from amongst them to teach them Islam. So he went there, and before he met anybody, Musaylima dragged him to him. He said, if you tell Banu Hanifa that Muhammad said, I am a prophet, you will be my first right-hand man, my prime minister. Now the test. He just thought and thought and thought, said, leave it to me. So he thought and went to meet people. And people said, oh, how are you welcome? How's Medina? How's Muhammad? He said, Muhammad tells you that Musaylama is a prophet like him. Abu Hurairah then said, Alhamdulillah, I managed to understand that it was not me. So he made ridda and claimed prophethood of someone else after memorizing a lot of the Quran, after listening to the Prophet and reading and being a knowledgeable man. And that's another lesson, that we know that the Prophet ﷺ does not know the future or the unknown. لا يعلم الغيب. No one knows that except Allah. Does not know what's in the hearts of people. And hence we should not be thinking of what is in the heart of this and that and that. We just take them for what they are, what they behave in front of us. And that is another thing to learn from there. And there was another story as well, that Prophet ﷺ, to prove Allah that he does not know the future or anything else except what Allah teaches him, is on their way from Tabuk. A man, one of the hypocrites, was sitting in a tent with another group of Muslims and saying, look, our Prophet, he lost his camel, and he claims to be a prophet. If he's a prophet, he should know where his camel is, the least. The Prophet ﷺ, in another tent, subhanAllah, sitting with his Sahaba, he said, a man now is saying that your friend is claiming to be a prophet and he does not know where his camel is. And wallahi, I do not know anything except what Allah tells me. And Allah has just sent Jibreel and told me that my camel is in such and such a valley. The rope or the halter has been caught by a tree, that it cannot come back. The Sahaba went, found the camel there, subhanAllah, as the Prophet described it, and came back. One of the Sahaba sitting with the Prophet went back to that other tent and was telling his friends, said, subhanAllah, we had something really strange happening now. He said, what? He said, we're sitting with the Prophet out of the blue. He said, a man is saying such and such, and told him the whole story the Prophet mentioned. He said, subhanAllah, do you know who was saying that? He said, no. He said, this one. So he went and started beating him up. He said, you munafiq, you're talking about the Prophet behind his back. So this is again a lesson that the Prophet ﷺ does not know anything except what Allah tells him and teaches him. Out of the delegation came, or not came, they were just brought after a while, were Banu Tayy. Hatim al-Ta'i was a well-known, the most generous man amongst the Arabs. He was known by that name, Hatim al-Ta'i. Prophet ﷺ sent Khalid ibn al-Walid to attack them and see if they become Muslim or give in into terms. The leader, Adi ibn Hatim, he was friends with the Christians. On the way between Medina and their tribe, there was a monastery. So he told the rabbi, one of their chief priests there, said, if you see the flags of the Muslim appearing, send me someone quick so I can prepare myself. Of course, prepare for defense or whatever. So he prepared himself that for him and his family, there's always horses, camels ready, available. When that priest saw the flags of the Muslims coming, he said, okay, that's what Adi was talking about. So he sent him a message. Adi took his wife, children, wealth, and ran away. Khalid ibn al-Walid arrived there, conquered, took the whole tribe, and back to the Prophet ﷺ as all prisoners of war. No defense, nothing, their leader ran away. Amongst the ones who were caught was the sister of Adi ibn Hatim, the daughter of Hatim al-Ta'i. As the Prophet ﷺ used to put all the prisoners next to the masjid so they can hear the prayer, listen to the message as he's teaching the Sahaba pass by or they see their manners, they can learn some Islam, and Allah turns the hearts. So as he was passing, the first day she stood up, said, "O Muhammad, I am the daughter of Hatim al-Ta'i." He didn't reply back. She said, "The one who used to help to protect us has died," which is her father. "The one who helps us after that has run away. So forgive and you will be generous with us." He said, "Who's the one who would help you?" She said, "My brother, Adi." He said, "The one who ran away from Allah and His Prophet?" And he would walk away. Second day, she stood up, said, "O Muhammad, I am the daughter of Hatim al-Ta'i. The father died. The one who helps and protects us has run away. Be generous and help us." Prophet ﷺ looked, he said, "You're Adi, the one who ran away from Allah and His Prophet?" And he walked away. Third day, he was passing by, she did not stand up. And she said, a man walking behind him, and she said after that it was Ali radiallahu anhu, just gave her a sign, stand up. So she stood up and said the same thing again for the third time. And Prophet ﷺ repeated the same thing. He said, "Adi, the one who ran away from Allah and His Messenger, as for you, you are the daughter of an honorable man. You are free. As for your brother, if he comes to us, we will be generous to him." A message. She said, "O Messenger of Allah, if there is a caravan going to Sham, where he fled towards the Christian in Sham, let me know. I will go and talk to him." And Adi used to say that his sister was a very decisive woman. She would, if she says something, she doesn't say it out of nothing. She would think it through. And if she said a decision, it's almost always the true one. So he would listen. That was something he said afterwards. So when she went to Sham, she asked about him, she found him, and as soon as she saw him, she started shouting, "Oh, you deserter, you traitor, you left us to death and ran away with your wife and children. Oh, you one who does not have," and start cursing her brother. He came to her and said, "I admit." SubhanAllah, if you admit your mistake, you really eliminate, wa alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah, you eliminate any anger. And we face it nowadays even. You see someone who's really angry, say, "I'm sorry, you're right." And suddenly just, they give back, they said, "Stand back." If you start defending, it will put more fuel on it. So he just admitted it, said, "Okay, fine. What is it?" He said, "Wallahi, Adi, I just came to you from the most generous man I've ever met. He would be either a prophet or a king. And he said, if you go to him, he would be generous to you and kind." And he said, what do you see?" He said, "I met him and I know him. Go to him. If he is a king, you will be close to a king. What more do you want? To be close to the king of Arabia. If he is a prophet, what is higher on earth than being a companion of a prophet?" Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "You are right." He went to see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, if he arrived there, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw him and greeted him, he was happy seeing him. And he said, "I saw him amongst his friends, not someone who's a king. The kings don't sit amongst people." He said, "So he took me to go to his house. And I was trying to find out, is he truly a king or is he a prophet?" On the way, an old woman stopped him. And she grabbed him by his hand and started talking to him. And he would listen and listen until she finished. And I was waiting. He said, I said to myself, "Wallahi, a king does not do that. A king doesn't stand with an old woman and listen to her and say, 'Yeah, go away, go to someone else to talk to you.' That's not a way of a king behavior." We entered into his house, and in his house was just a little old carpet or rug and a pillow that is harsh. That's all he had. So as we're about to sit down, he threw me the pillow. He said, "Sit on this." I said, "No, you sit on the pillow." He said, "No, you sit on it." And he insisted, so I sat on the pillow and he sat on the ground. And I said, "Wallahi, this is not how kings live or behave." There was still something in his heart. He didn't say, "This is the way a prophet behaves." And the Prophet ﷺ told him something very important then. He said, "O Adi, aren't you on the religion of Ar-Rakusiyya?" Ar-Rakusiyya was a very rare type of religion which is close to Christianity, but there's no one who believed about this except him, according to Adi. He said, "I was surprised. How would he know about Rakusiyya? It's only me who knows. Even my family thought that I was a Christian. They never knew that I was on Rakusiyya, on another religion. They all thought I was a Christian. That's why he ran to Sham as a Christian." He said, "Yes, I am on Rakusiyya." He said, "Oh Hatim, don't you take a tax called al-mirba', like a quarter of tax from your people?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Oh Hatim, don't you see that al-mirba', that tax, is haram in Rakusiyya?" Adi said, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa annaka Rasulullah." Who would know about Rakusiyya, a religion that is nearly wiped out, eliminated? And not only this, knows that he takes a tax from his people and that this tax is haram in that religion. No one except a Nabi, a prophet. So he became a Muslim. And then they went to the masjid, and Prophet ﷺ was praying, and he read in that time ayah from the Quran, which is from Surah Tawbah, chapter 9, verse 31, where it says, "اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا إلها واحدا لا إله إلا هو سبحانه عما يشركون." And they took their priests and their authorities as lords apart from God, as well as Jesus, Isa ibn Maryam. They took him as a lord. And they were commanded to worship one God, and there is no God but Allah. Praise and glory is to Him, and from having any associates with Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they finished the prayer, Adi went to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, we did not take our priests as gods. How does Allah say that? He said, O Adi, if your priests come to you and say, this is halal, and you know that it is haram in that religion, or they come to see you, tell you, this is haram, and it's your religion, it's halal. So they do tell you the opposite. You followed them or not? He said, yes. He said, this is the way of worshipping them. And this is a lesson to Muslims, even nowadays. If there is a regulation in Islam and someone comes with new laws that is against the law of Islam that is stated, and we agree with it, we don't have to say, fight and no, we disagree. No, in heart, I don't agree with it, but it is kind of the law of the land. It doesn't, but to go and say, yes, this is the law and I have to teach people to follow it, that is like worshipping that person who's making that law. We obey the law of the land, but doesn't mean that we have to accept it because if it's against Islam. Of course, when living in a non-Muslim country, we abide by the law because we have a duty to abide by the law. You go to an Islamic country, you abide by the law of Islam there. That's how it goes. You abide by the law of the land you're in, but as a Muslim, in the heart, we have the law of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the Prophet said, I'm going to finish inshallah after this. He said, O Adi, possibly what is putting you off Islam or put you off Islam is that to see that the Muslims are so poor and so weak. Wallahi, there will be a day where life will prosper and they will have so much money that the man would carry his wealth and his sadaqah and travel with it to give it to a poor man, and he will not find anyone poor to give it. That's how wealthy Muslims will become. And maybe what put you off Islam is that you see that the Muslims are at wars and insecure. Wallahi, Allah will complete this religion, that you will see the woman coming from Qadisiyah, which is in Iraq, walking to Baytullah al-Haram, to Mecca, not fearing anyone except Allah. That is the peace that will spread across the land. And maybe what put you off Islam or Adi is that you see Muslims are living in tents and muddy little areas. Wallahi, Allah will not complete this deen except, and you will see the palaces of Babylon in the hands of Muslims. And Adi said, and I lived long enough to see the palaces of Babylon in the hands of Muslims. And I saw the woman leaving Qadisiyah down all the way to Mecca on her own without protection, not fearing anyone except Allah. And if I live long, I believe the Prophet ﷺ, I will see that the wealth will spread around, that people will not find anyone to give their sadaqah to. And this did happen in the days of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, as we all know. I will stop here inshallah, and I will leave it because we're coming to Maghrib, and continue next week inshallah. So we're going to finish delegations because they're all linked to Quran and the revelations. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. استغفر الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.